During the events of the Great Crusade and the Horus Heresy, Constantin Valdor was the Captain General of the Legio Custodes, the personal bodyguards of the Emperor of Mankind, who were also known as the 10,000. As befitting of his rank and his standing as first amongst the 10,000, Valdor was a formidable warrior upon the field of battle. So great was his skill with a blade that he was said to have been on par with, or even surpassing the Primarchs in the art of combat. Constantin Valdor fought in many battles during the events of the Horus Heresy, most notably the Burning of Prospero, where he fought alongside the Primarch Leman Russ of the Space Wolves Legion against the Thousand Sons and their Primarch Magnus the Red. As the Horus Heresy continued on, Valdor would become a member of Terra's War Council, alongside the Primarch Rogel Dawn of the Imperial Fists, and Malkador the Sigillite, the Regent of Terra. When the Emperor of Mankind faced the arch-traitor Horus upon the Vengeful Spirit, the Master of Mankind would become mortally wounded, and eventually interred into the life support systems of the Golden Throne. At this moment, the Legio Custodes would remain within the depths of the Imperial Palace upon Terra for approximately the next 10,000 years, remaining vigilant in their duty of protecting the rotting carcass of the Master of Mankind. And at some point after the Emperor's ascension to the Golden Throne, Constantin Valdor would disappear, as would his weapons and armour, his location and ultimate fate unknown to the rest of the 10,000. Some claim that whatever became of him, he still serves the Emperor. So what could have happened to the first Captain General? Now, one possibility is that Constantin Valdor simply retired, in a manner of speaking. While custodians are biologically immortal, remaining at the peak of their physical condition for their entire lives, eventually their mental prowess will slowly begin to erode. This in turn will lead to their reflexes and cognitive abilities to become gradually slower and less refined, though still greater than that of an Astartes, let alone a regular human. As the Custodes demand perfection in their own abilities in their role as guardians of the Emperor, having the speed of their abilities reduced by as little as 1/10 of a second is considered to be too wide a margin for error for the warriors of the Custodes. As such, when a custodian deems himself unfit for purpose, they will become what are known as the Eyes of the Emperor. These warriors will leave Terra and travel the galaxy in a self-imposed exile. Despite being exiles, they are still fiercely loyal to the Emperor, and should they discover any plots against the Master of Mankind, they will relay such information back to their former brothers, so that the Custodes are prepared for any eventual threat. As such, from an initial standpoint, it seems likely that Constantin Valdor deemed himself as unfit to carry out his duties in protecting the Emperor, especially given the guilt he must have felt after the Emperor was mortally wounded by Horus. But Valdor becoming one of the Eyes of the Emperor is unlikely. When a custodian becomes one of the Eyes of the Emperor, they relinquish their weapons and armour, which are then returned to the Hall of Armaments. Given that Valdor's equipment has also vanished, it seems more likely that wherever Valdor went, he took his weapons and armour with him. But perhaps Constantin Valdor did seek to serve the Emperor in a way, by personally hunting down and slaying the traitor Primarchs to avenge the Emperor of Mankind. Following the events of the Horus Heresy, many of the traitor Primarchs would eventually flee into the Eye of Terra, while the Primarchs Conrad Kurz and Alpharius, in reality his twin brother Omegon, would officially be slain at the hands of the Kalidas assassin Meshen and the Primarch Rabute Guilliman respectively. The idea of Constantin Valdor launching a one-man redemption crusade to avenge the Emperor and the Imperium by hunting down the surviving traitor Primarchs does seem like a likely possibility. It's noted that Constantin Valdor did indeed view himself as an instrument of the Emperor's wrath, as detailed within the following quote from the novel Nemesis.
"My name is Constantin Valdor, Captain General of the Legio Custodes, and I hold the power of the Emperor's displeasure in my hands. I will prove it to you. In the Emperor's name, death."
Now, while Constantin Valdor was a match for a Primarch in single combat, a demon Primarch is another matter entirely. While Valdor may have easily been able to slay countless numbers of traitor legionnaires and demonic creatures, he would still be but one man against a vast horde. Not even a Primarch would be able to withstand such an assault without aid. Rogel Dawn, the Primarch of the Imperial Fists Legion, was said to have died as he made a desperate boarding action upon the ship Sword of Sacrilege during one of the first Black Crusades. Despite being able to fight his way to the bridge of the ship, Dawn was rumoured to have been killed as he bought time for reinforcements. The Primarch was allegedly torn apart by the traitor forces as they sought to claim trophies from the Primarch's body, mirroring events that occurred with the corpse of Ferrus Manus upon the world of Istvan V. The only part of Rogel Dawn's body that would be recovered by his sons was his severed hand. Another potential fate that could have befallen Constantin Valdor was that he became a part of Trajan the Infinite's collection. Trajan is a notorious Necron lord who collects a variety of unique artifacts and specimens for his museum upon the world of Solomance. One such item within his collection is that of a giant man clad in Baroque power armour, which can be used to describe Valdor. Valdor himself was not only larger than a regular unaugmented human, but the armour of a custodian is also highly ornate and heavily decorated with images of the Aquila, lightning bolts, and so on. Seeing as Trajan's collection has incorporated Horus Heresy-era Astartes, Enslavers, and even Krork, it's not impossible to assume that Trajan could have somehow captured Valdor at some point in time, which could also explain his mysterious disappearance. But another possibility in regards to his fate is that Constantin Valdor sought to track down and destroy an ancient evil, or at least make sure it remained imprisoned. During the events of the Horus Heresy, the Emperor's Webway project became damaged by the actions of the Primarch Magnus the Red. This led to a warp tear that threatened to engulf Terra and a massive demonic incursion within the Webway. One of the demonic entities that appeared during this incursion was Draknien, a demon born from the first murder committed by humanity. The demon was so powerful that the Emperor struggled in combat against it when the two would meet in battle. Eventually though, the demon, now taking the form of a demonic blade, would be impaled within the body of a custodian named Ra Endymion, and the Emperor would then instruct Endymion to flee as far as he could. As such, it could be possible that Constantin Valdor, following the events of the Horus Heresy, took to the Webway and traversed its depths in order to make sure that the demon the Emperor couldn't destroy remained bound to Endymion and as far away from humanity as possible. Constantin Valdor could have assigned himself to be, in effect, the Warden of Draknien. This seems to be a highly likely possibility, given that Endymion could feel the demonic energy of Draknien slowly begin to take root within his body and soul. But if this were the case, then it seems fairly certain that Valdor had indeed perished at the hands of demonic entities, as Dracnian would eventually be transported to the Tower of Silence upon the world of Uralan, where the Chaos Gods themselves are said to lock away their secrets. The blade form which Dracnian took would rest within the centre of a labyrinth beneath the tower for centuries to come, until the demon was claimed by Abaddon the Despoiler as his own personal blade. As he fought against the tower's shadowy guardians, Abaddon was eventually guided to the centre of the labyrinth by a mysterious golden figure that towered over Abaddon. This golden figure seems most likely to be none other than Endymion, who was Dracnian's prison of flesh, and who could have quite feasibly have been corrupted by the demon as it remained lodged deep within his body. While it does seem most likely that Constantin Valdor has indeed perished in some unknown portion of the galaxy, if for whatever reason the first Captain General of the Custodes is still alive, then what would this mean for the future of the Imperium as a whole? What do you think happened to Constantin Valdor? Leave a comment below, and thanks for watching.